Hello and welcome to Catalyze Music Academy. My name is Zaak Kerstetter. I'm an Ableton Certified Trainer. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite devices in live, probably one of the most underappreciated devices in live, which is Collision. This is a really fantastic synthesizer that can do a lot of really cool things. But today I want to focus on specifically how you can use Collision to make kick drums that sound a little bit like this, or this, depending on how you have it set up. You just get a lot of really nice, interesting diversity in your kick drum sound design when you use Collision for this kind of thing. So I want to go over how to build this from scratch, but I think that if you haven't been exploring Collision, now's the time to check it out. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. If you are interested in learning more about Collision and to learn about like every single thing that it does, let me know in the comment section below and I'll make a video covering every single thing that Collision can do. But right now, I just want to focus on using Collision to make kick drums. So we're going to go over here and we're going to start from scratch. Just the default device of Collision sounds like this. Doesn't really sound like a kick drum at all. And this is one of the nice things about using physical modeling devices for your sound design. A physical modeling device is not going to be using an oscillator like a regular synthesizer. It's going to be trying to recreate the sound of a real world instrument. In this case, mostly percussive instruments, things like this. Or there's a bunch of different sounds you can get out of it. But one of the cool things about physical modeling devices is that you can use them to make sounds that you couldn't make with, say, like a marimba or something like that if you actually had a real instrument in front of you. So Collision is kind of divided up into two major parts. Over here, we have the object that we are hitting with, which is called the excitator, and the object that we are hitting, which is called the resonator. So resonator is over here, and then our object we're hitting with is over here. And we have two of each. So we have both a mallet excitator and a noise excitator. One of these must be turned on. If both are turned off, it doesn't make any sound. So you need to have an imaginary object you're hitting with. And then same thing is true with the resonators. We have two resonators. We can turn them on and off here. And if there's no resonator, there's no object to hit. So you need to have at least one of both turned on. Right now, we're going to be using the mallet excitator and just resonator one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this up. Makes it a little easier to hear. So over here we have our resonators, and there's 7 different types, and they all sound kind of different. So this one we've heard before, marimba, sounds kind of similar. Our string, membrane, plate, pipe, and tube. So each one of these has its own individual settings depending on which one you're using, and they're all really cool and worth looking into. For the purposes of making a kick drum, we're going to stick with the tube because it's going to sound pretty good and it's pretty easy to work with. So right now, this doesn't sound anything like a kick drum. So first thing I need to do is just pitch down a couple octaves just so I'm in a lower frequency range. And that sounds a little closer. Then from here, we have this XY controller where we have decay on one axis and radius on the other axis. Decay is going to be how long it resonates out for. So if I turn this way up, it'll resonate out for a long time. If I turn this down, it's something much quicker and choppier. And then radius is going to affect the harmonics. And this is one of the reasons I like this for kick drum sound design, is that as I turn this up and down, you get like a much more muted sound down here and a much more resonant sound as I turn this up. So we can switch this as we do our sound design to kind of figure out exactly what we want to be doing. On top of that, I'm also going to take this pitch envelope right here. This is really handy. So if I turn this up, I'm going to start the pitch higher and then turn it down to the note that I'm playing over this amount of time, which gives us a much more kick drum kind of sound. Gives it the more kind of like impact. So if I turn this down, sounds like that, which sounds cool. Or here I get that nice kind of impact. And I can adjust this kind of to taste. I think 100 milliseconds is a great place to get started. But if I switch this up or down, you get different kind of amounts of pitch envelope in there. So we got those those 3 settings. We got pitch envelope, radius, and decay. The other thing that's really handy here is tweaking some of these settings on the mallet, which there's 3 of them. The stiffness is going to control the stiffness of our imaginary object we're hitting our kick drum with. So as I turn this down, it's going to get a little softer. It's not necessarily what I want. If I turn this up, it gets harder and get more of like an impact. Again, it can get us a lot of cool, interesting sound design depending on how we set this up. I'm going to keep mine around 40% for right now. And then here we have noise and color. So noise is going to add a little bit of white noise to our impact. If you turn this up, you'll really hear it, especially with that pitch envelope. And then color, adjust the frequency of that noise. If we turn the noise down, the color's not going to do a whole lot, which we're going to turn down. So I'm going to keep this down pretty low. You might want a little bit in there just to give it a nice little bit of character. But from here, it's sounding pretty good to me. And then now that I've done this, I'm going to continue to tweak these settings, mostly with the radius to adjust this to taste. If I want a nice kind of like cleaner, faster sounding kick, I can just do this. If I want a more kind of like boomy 808, I can turn it there. Same thing with the decay. I can kind of adjust this to taste. I'm also going to set our voices to monophonic. So if I play 2 notes right in a row, it only plays the most recent one. So this is going to be kind of my starting point. This to me sounds pretty cool. I could definitely use this in a song. From here, if I wanted to though, I could tweak this a little bit by adding in resonator number 2. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else is, number 1, over here, I'm going to switch this structure. This is very important if you're going to be using 2 resonators. 1 going into 2 means the volume of resonator 1 will trigger the volume of resonator 2, which oftentimes gets you these very feedbacky kind of resonant sounds, which I don't tend to like. So we're going to do 1 and 2, which means we have 1 mallet hitting 2 resonators simultaneously parallel from each other, which is going to sound a lot better in this case. The other thing I'm going to do once I turn resonator 2 on is there's this 1 into 2 button. This is going to copy all of the settings of resonator 1 onto resonator 2. So if I do that, now it takes all the settings except for these 2, except for the tuning and the pitch envelope. I'm going to turn off resonator 1. Should sound roughly the same right now. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to pitch it up an octave. I'm going to take the decay and then turn this down. And what I'm looking for is just a little knocking kind of impact sound, just to be the start of my kick drum. I can also turn the pitch envelope up, and that can also help a little bit. So again, this can kind of be to taste wherever you want to put this. I'm just going to do something like that, just to kind of layer in with my actual boomy kick here. Now I've got the 2 of them together. I think it sounds pretty good. And then from here, I could start tossing in effects. So I might go to like my saturator, for example. I love saturator on kick drums. Maybe I'll switch this to soft sine, turn on the soft clip. Want to drive a little bit. Want to go some really distorted, go to medium curve. Go back in here, play with the radius a bit. A lot of fun stuff you can do with that. But that's the basic idea here. We're just taking our mallet, excitator, tweaking the settings a little bit here, keeping the noise down pretty low, stiffness kind of wherever you want it. I tend to like it around here, but you could switch it up. You get lots of different cool sound design. And then going into resonator 1, I like starting with the tube control, adjusting your decay radius to taste, and then also tossing in the pitch envelope. And that's mostly all you really need to do. Everything after that is really kind of up to you and your own personal taste, and depends a little bit on the style of music that you're making. So hopefully this gives you some ideas when you are working with Collision. Just know that it's not just for marimba sounds. You can do anything you want with this. I actually use this a lot for different kinds of bass sound design. There's some really cool like pads you can make with this. Get creative with it. There's a lot of features in here. There's a lot of subtlety to how you do your sound design that is very different than how you do it on any other synthesizer, which is why I think Collision is one of the best kept secrets in live and has a lot more diversity than people give it credit for. So hopefully you enjoyed watching that. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, any of that kind of stuff. Definitely let me know if you want to see a more in-depth video on Collision. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.